done for. Everyone get out.
Greetings, sailors! Welcome to one of my Warships games from this last week, and it was most unusual in that it was actually a good game in the Arkansas beta, which I was not expecting to have at all. Now, a little bit of background. This was from a stream last week, where I played Warships for a couple of hours, and it was a very good stream in terms of win rate indeed. I only lost one battle in the entire stream. It was actually the very first battle. Every other game was a win, and I was having pretty good games generally, so I seemed to be on form. And it actually followed after earlier in the day playing World of Tanks and having an absolutely abysmal time and not having fun at all, so it was a rather nice antidote. So we're going to start off with this shot, and oh yeah, look at this. Yep. Now this thing may be slow, but it has a lot of guns. And although the RNG is horrible, it has a lot of guns. So if you get a lot of shells in the air, you've obviously got a better chance of actually hitting things. And that was a double citadel right away. Now I will note, this was actually the day before they applied the 5.1.1 patch, which fixed at least one of the ammo problems that 5.1 had brought in. And even though it was before that patch, I seem to be having an okay time with this one particular ship. And actually somebody in the chat, one of the super testers, Strangers123, if you're familiar with that name at all, suggested or said that it was probably because at these lower tiers the citadel placements tend to be different. They tend to be not below the waterline, which was one of the main things that was causing problems. So I was having just a much easier time with cruisers generally, and I think that's probably true because I'd obviously been playing higher tier ships. You know, the entire stream wasn't just the Arkansas beta. I'd been playing higher tier ships, and the performance with some of the battleships especially had been a bit lackluster. But it's not like the patch had made them unplayable. It's just, yeah, that they were definitely noticeably underperforming. So that's a double strike of a devastating strike I've started off with a double citadel. There we go. That's why the word double was in my mind. And it was quite nice taking out a Kuma that early, because those are fairly dangerous little ships in the right hands. And you'll actually see one particular remaining Kuma on the enemy team, and they've still got a couple left, that proves to be especially a thorn in my side later on. But for now, we seem to be doing alright, myself and Silly Sombra. And it is actually Silly Sombra, I know the name's different, but he uses a different account for Warships. And maybe it's just because he wanted a different account when he first signed up for it. And he obviously signed up for it when he was a beta tester, or during the beta testing period rather, because he's got an Arkansas beta there as well. Or maybe he just used a different email, or I don't know. But we were both in these things and just chugging around and doing it for the lols basically, because I had gotten all the dailies I wanted. I'd played through some of the ships like the Nagato a couple of times, and it just came down to, well, let's do something different. And well, this is a premium ship, so getting the daily on an American captain is just a nice bit of extra XP really. So we've chugged our way up north. We know there's a couple of enemies up here. The mods, well, they were working for 5.1, the minimap mod, and then it's now not working for 5.1.1 yet, so I don't have all the minimap information I'm accustomed to, but there were a reasonable number of ships up here that we were facing, but there wasn't a lot that had gone south. In fact, I think at the moment it's a lone cruiser, and it turned out there was 3, 4, 5 ships down there. So we probably had, as it turned out, more ships up here than we needed. But when you're in a slow battleship, really any of the low-tier battleships, oh, the Kawachi's actually not bad. Not the Kawachi, the Kawachi is bad. The Miyogi is not bad, rather. When you're in a slow battleship, if you pick and choose a side and then it turns out, well, all the enemies are elsewhere, it can be a bit problematic. It's like being in a slow tank in World of Tanks. Anyway, that other Kuma had just been sitting behind, I think it was behind a smoke screen to begin with, and then that dissipated and he was just sat stationary in the open, and there's another 2 citadels, so yeah, he's hurting a bit now, but he was able to accelerate behind that island before I could finish him off entirely, which is a bit unfortunate because I think he's the one that proves to be problematic later on. But that's why, well, playing with your speed, even in a battleship, can be very good for throwing off enemy shots, but if you're going to sit sideways in front of enemy ships and be stationary, even if you're in a ship that can accelerate really well, it's risky, if not downright foolhardy. And if you're in a destroyer, maybe you can get away with it a bit more, but even so, even being a smaller target, if you're a stationary or even an accelerating target, it can make you a hell of a lot easier, especially at the kind of range that I was to that Kuma, to actually do damage to. So at this point, I think I was saying to Sombra we should probably start heading south again, because we've got a single Karlsruhe down there. I said Karlsruhe there, that's not a thing. That is just having to beat a retreat because he is 4 versus 1. Although the carrier is also directing his attentions down at that end of the map as well, but it's not enough to hold back all those enemy ships. And there's another stationary ship, a Wyoming, so, you know, you can just have some shells as well, and that's more damage for me. Although this was just about the edge of my range, as you can see, so it wasn't a huge chunk of damage, no citadels out of that, but still, I mean, the damage is actually mounting up quite nicely already. This was over 45k damage, so that actually was okay. That was not too shabby at all. Now, contrary to what the replay is showing, I think I mostly shot AP in this battle. In fact, there might have been one moment when I actually did shoot HE, but I think this is because this is a 5.1 replay playing on the 5.1.1 client, and it's introduced this tiny little error where for some reason it's showing me as only shooting HE shells when actually I was shooting AP shells. I definitely wouldn't be getting all these citadels and things and with HE. Although you might do on really thinly armoured machines like tier 4 carriers, but anyway. So we're heading back south, and if you notice the points, it's looking pretty dire. We have less than half the victory points the enemy team has. We've taken out 2 of their ships, they've taken out half of our team already, so the odds are very distinctly stacked against us, but myself and Sombra are still fairly healthy. At least some of our remaining battleships, in fact I think both our remaining allied battleships are both also still fairly healthy, so we're not done yet, but this is not looking good. This was looking like it would be a very hard one to come back from, this kind of situation. So I was not feeling especially optimistic as we chugged back to defend the cap. Because bear in mind, you know, we're going down here to intercept these ships, but there's still enemy ships in the north as well. We've only killed 2 of the enemy team. There's 4 ships there. There's at least another 5 ships to our north, and I think there was a couple of the remaining cruisers that were left alive were in the middle, or at least they appear in the middle. So we're definitely badly outnumbered and surrounded at the moment, and it's going to take quite a lot of work to come through this. Now I saw the carrier trying to retreat in my direction, so I thought, okay, I'll change course, and he looked like he was changing course, and then he turned back into me, and I don't quite know why. Possibly he just wasn't paying attention in terms of where he was actually going, and we just booped into each other, and that actually got me set on fire. Well, kind of. I think that incoming fire, which is from the Kuma that I mentioned earlier, the one that proved to be problematic, was actually meant for the carrier, and I caught some shots of it instead. So I thought, okay, I'll try firing back, maybe it'll loop over, but it didn't. And that Kuma was actually being really smart. He was down to his last, like, 2,000 health, so he was being cagey. He was using his shell arc to sit behind that little limb of land. And there we go, that was a nice shot from Sombra to take out that cruiser. And he was just pouring HE shells in on us, and we couldn't do a damn thing about it. We just had to ignore him and concentrate on the stuff to our south, because if we turned round to deal with this one cruiser, of course we'd get shot to bits in the process. So at this point I made a bit of a mistake. I concentrated on the Miyogi and basically ignored the South Carolina, and I think my exact words were what? My exact words were, oh, it's only a South Carolina, it can't hit the broadside of a barn. As it turns out, the side of an Arkansas Beta is bigger than the side of a barn, And I would come to regret those words. And he's already done some damage to me, but I think I was just intent on focusing the Yogi because higher tier ship, probably worse armour, although I don't actually know if it's worse than the South Carolina, but nonetheless, not particularly well armoured, and also the lower health target. And, oh yeah, that was a Citadel for sure, that was pretty nasty. Or it might not have been actually, but anyway, it was nearly 10,000 damage. Pretty painful. So at this point I thought, okay, maybe I should angle more towards South Carolina, maybe not be showing him my broad flat sides. Maybe that's not the best idea in the world. And if I'd come to that realization sooner, I think the later bits of the battle might have been a little bit less hairy, but as it is, I'm down to now, what, 40% health, and I only have, I think I've got one repair on cooldown. I think I've got 2 repairs after this. I think the captain I was using had superintendent, so I actually had extra repairs, but even so, I had foolishly, because I hadn't played this for a while, neglected to use the premium versions of either consumable. So I got the standard damage control party and the standard repair party, and that means that I've got quite a long wait in between the being able to use them. So I am down now to, what is that, 16,000 health. And if this Kuma just keeps setting me on fire, or if those battleships that are coming in from the north, and it's taken them a long time to press round, although it is pretty much the remaining enemy battleships that were coming from the north, as well as that St. Louis. None of them are fast ships, so yeah, okay, I guess of course it's taken them a long time to come round. It will have taken them a little while to realise that they could press round, and then to actually press round takes longer still. But yeah, this is, I mean, we've stabilised the situation to the south and the west, although, hello, there's a Kuma that's just appeared, and there's that low health one teasing me again. And look at this. This guy was playing really smart. He realised that I was coming into range to spot him, or his sixth sense went off, or whatever, and he decided, okay, now I'd better get back into cover. And still pelting me with shells all the while. But anyway, I get a chance to take a shot at this other healthier Kuma, and there's another devastating strike. So there we go. That's one less thing to worry about. And the Kumas especially, it's what, 7 kilometer torps they have, so they don't have to get that close. Although, in that case, you know, that guy, a broadside, more citadels. I got quite lucky that I was able to knock that healthy Kuma out of the water with one salvo. So that was a stroke of luck, really. And that is, I don't know, the RNG of battleships can be sometimes so frustrating, but then sometimes you get shots like that, and it's unpredictable, shall we say. So I've popped another repair, and I'm looking a little less unhealthy, but I still don't have that many hit points left. We're also running down on time, and we're still down on points, crucially. If we get to the 20-minute mark, having not recovered over our enemies on points, then basically we're screwed. But this St. Louis, at least, well, he's going down fairly soon, and one shell will be enough to finish this guy. There we go, he's down to his last 100 odd health, so if I can get one hit in, it'll be a bit of a kill secure, and there we go, there's another kill. So yeah, I was starting to think, you know, we're down on points badly, but we have very much stabilised this situation, and of the remaining ships, well, one of our allied battleships is, as you can see, they're very, very low health, that Wyoming, but it's still looking a lot better than it was before. It's looking a lot more doable, and there we go, we just lost that low health guy, so we've lost some points there, unfortunately, but if we can kill these enemy battleships, that gives us a really good chance to get some of those points back. A really, really good chance. Now, the remaining enemy Wyomings, well, one of them, as you can see, less than half health, and I've just popped my final repair, so that's going to be useful. But if they both focus their fire on me, that's going to be a problem. So we need to get this low health guy down as soon as possible to take out half the guns that are pointing at us. And they're actually both focused entirely on the enemy Myogi. And as I was making this approach, I was thinking, okay, this is very, very risky. But if I can get them to turn to me, well, that gives our battleships some time to work on them. And of course, if I can approach them bows on, that gives me a better chance of bouncing shells. So although me approaching them is also not great in terms of firing angles, because they're also bow on to me, if I get superstructure shots, I can at least do a bit of damage. And as it was, I think I was also getting some hull penning shots. Even so. But no, they remain totally focused on our Myogi, and I think they actually almost were able to kill him. I mean, they got him to quite low health, but they couldn't quite do enough to kill him. And they were tunnel visioned that hard that, I mean, I was expecting any moment for them to start turning their guns on me, but they were tunnel visioned that hard that I was starting to get to pretty close ranges, and just able to take all the time in the world to aim, because they're just ignoring me, basically. So although it initially seemed fairly risky, and there we go, there's one of them down, they were just so focused elsewhere that it actually was not really very risky for me at all. Sombra, meanwhile, was coming up behind, and I think he'd needed time to repair, and he was also giving fire support. We'd also taken out that low health pesky Kuma. That was actually Sombra that had done that. That was very useful. That meant we weren't going to have to chase down a fast cruiser. There's also a destroyer left on the enemy team, as well as their carrier, but that destroyer I am pretty sure was AFK, or had gone AFK. So anyway, there we go. There's a high caliber and a Confederate out of that shot. That was my first Citadel against a battleship. And I'm very, very close range, and I'm giving him a lot of side here to shoot at, but he's still not firing at me. He's still not at all focused on me. He's still focused very much on that Myogi. So this is just, I can just broadside him all day long. And there we go, another Citadel. Next shot will take him. In fact, the secondaries might do the job here. Okay, looks like it's going to be main battery. So there we go. We are finally ahead on points. But what's this coming in? Yep, the torpedo bomber's going after our very low health Myogi, and this could be it. If we lose this guy, I don't know if that'll be enough points to put them back in the lead, but it'll be an awfully close thing, and we are down to less than a minute. So yeah, this is a bit of a nail-biter. It comes down to this Myogi driver and this Langley driver, and the Myogi is taking evasive action, but against torpedo bombers, you know, a competently placed manual torpedo drop, it doesn't matter that much, especially if you've got multiple squadrons to work with. But as it turns out, no, that guy fluffed the drop. The Myogi driver was able to easily evade all of those, and that's it. We've basically won on points, and it was awfully close, and for about the first 60% of the battle, I thought we were going to probably lose. And then it turned out to be actually rather a good game indeed. So there we go, the final countdown leaves us with this end score screen. 279,000 credits, exactly 7,000 XP, because this was a daily, and of course there's flags and things. 2 devastating strikes, the Confederate and the High Caliber Award. I had 5 kills, Sombra had 4 kills, so between us we killed 9 out of the enemy 12 ships, and 2 ships were left alive, so there was only 1 other person that had a ship kill apart from us on that team. So I think it was a bit of a carry, but in terms of the damage done, I was quite impressed that the Arkansas Beta could even do that much, but maybe I shouldn't be. You know, it has a lot of guns, and I was able to put those guns to fairly effective use, and I got some very nice Citadel shots in that game as well, so nearly 125,000 damage. That was actually a pretty nice result, and it was easily the best result of the stream in terms of a close game, and just, I don't know, the adrenaline going through my veins as well, because it was getting towards the end. It was like, we could do this, I want to believe. And it's been a long time since I felt that optimistic in a World of Tanks match, I've got to be honest. But anyway, maybe give it another 3 years and I'll have been worn out on warships as well, but I'm definitely nowhere near that stage yet. So if you enjoyed this bit of low-tier battleship action, you can leave any comments below, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.